Singapore, Thailand and Malaysia are major migration hubs for workers moving within ASEAN. And with more and more people expected to cross borders for employment, rights groups are urging regional governments to ensure that they're better protected by expanding a labour standards framework to include low and semi-skilled workers. Saiful Bahri Ismail puts their plight in the spotlight.
Indonesian worker Mualim recently fell from height at the construction site he was working at. The injury resulted in numbness around his waist. The wound on his back is too gory to be shown on TV. And Mualim said his father-in-law died of a heart attack after hearing news of the accident.
Sekarang dekat rumah tak ada laki-laki lain kecuali saya ini mati. Masih kecil-kecil.
Mualim's employer has abandoned him. The 46-year-old is afraid to get help because he's an illegal worker in Malaysia. Now, Mualim just wants to go home.
This is sad realities that we are facing now regarding the undocumented migrant workers who experience injury in the workplace. Because the only way that I can see is we go through the unofficial channel to get help. For example, the communities. I know some community members, they collect some funds to help Pak Mualim.
Unlike Mualim, Saw Win, not his real name, wants to stay on in Malaysia. In 2007, he left Myanmar as an asylum seeker and was smuggled into Malaysia by human traffickers. Saw Win is now a refugee and survives by being an illegal worker. The International Labour Organization is concerned about the plight of these illegal workers. Their numbers are likely to grow with greater labour mobility in the region. ILO has urged ASEAN to include migrant workers in frameworks like the mutual recognition arrangements that it currently has for skilled labour.
There is a very large number of undocumented migrants who actually are at the low skill, and the integration, one hopes, will give those people at the lower end the opportunity to actually be able to formally access opportunities, receiving the necessary social support and training and things of this nature to get there.
Intra-ASEAN migration had increased substantially over the past 2 decades. Between 1990 and 2013, the number of migrant workers went up from 1.5 million to 6.5 million. Nearly 9 out of 10 are low-skilled. Singapore, Thailand and Malaysia are major migration hubs. The movement of migrant workers had caused an impact on receiving countries. In Malaysia, trade unions are losing their grip on collective bargaining powers.
Simply because 35% of the production workers are migrant. When we take any sort of industrial action, they are still working. And as far as for the employer, the production is running smooth. So they are not going to listen. Trade unions are losing the negotiation power with the presence of the migrant workers.
This is the passport office in Yangon. It's a busy place, and for many locals, it could be their passport to a better life.
Since the opening up of Myanmar in recent years, nationals are finding it easier to obtain and renew their passports. Before, it took them between 3 and 6 months. Now they can do it within a week. They're taking the opportunity to visit other countries on social visit passes, but some are using it to find employment.
Loe Kon Ai has just collected his passport. The 19-year-old left his village hoping to find employment overseas. And he hopes to work in Malaysia, where he has a relative.
that's what you like. A go near, she might change her. A go agent and do with me, Lord Pure. I have a pure.
Con Ai's next stop is the recruitment agency, whose role has become dominant in a country like Myanmar. Some act as employers, financing the recruitment and migration costs to be deducted from the worker's salary later on. This puts workers in a vulnerable position.
There are about 200 employment agencies in Yangon helping workers to find a job overseas. This employment agency sends workers to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, the UAE and Japan. Over the years, employment agencies have seen a drop in the number of workers going overseas to work.
The Employment Agency Federation works closely with the country's Labour Ministry to coordinate with foreign companies to develop labour markets overseas. In 2013, the Federation recorded some 9,500 workers outside the country. Last year, it dropped to 7,500.
နောက်တစ်ချက်ကလည်းမြန်မာလူသမားတွေကအခုဗမာနိုင်ငံဖွံ့ဖြိုးတိုးတက်လာတဲ့ကြောင့်စက်ရုံအလုပ်တွေမှာအလုပ်ခွင့်လန်းလည်းများလာပါတယ်။နောက်မြန်မာလစာတွေကလည်းတိုးလာတော့နိုင်ငံခြားလစာလည်းတိတ်မကွာတဲ့ကြောင့်နိုင်ငံခြားကိုမသွားလို့တာလည်းတခါနာပါပါတယ်။
ASEAN acknowledges that migrant workers must be protected. In 2007, ASEAN leaders signed a declaration to promote fair and appropriate employment protection for migrant workers. In 2013, it made a commitment to agree that social protection is a basic human right. A framework to translate commitments into actions is being developed. Discussions on the mobility for semi-skilled and unskilled labor are also ongoing.
They have to give a very serious effort to ensure the very poor, unskilled labor, they are traveling to the different ASEAN country and how they are going to recognize their contribution and also ensure all the safeguards, the protection, their health-related protection, their physical protection, their human rights protection, as well as their protection of their family they left behind.
Experts say the success of ASEAN integration depends on how it affects the labor market. And the implementation of plans to improve lives must make a difference. It has to be felt directly by the men and women in the region.
To achieve a truly integrated community, experts say ASEAN cannot ignore the semi-skilled and unskilled workers, especially when addressing the issue of labor mobility in the region. Majority of the intra-ASEAN labor migration are semi-skilled and unskilled workers, but the ASEAN Economic Community Framework does little to open labor markets to these workers. To realize the full potential benefits of labor market integration, more consideration for these workers may be needed. Saiful Bari Ismail, Channel News Asia, Yangon.